So, why did people follow them? Because of a deeply attractive form of ambition. 10xers challenge their ego and intensity into something larger and more enduring than themselves. They're ambitious, to be sure, but for a purpose beyond themselves, be it building a great company, changing the world, or achieving some great object. That's ultimately not about them. Uh, Today, I want to talk to you about this beautiful, amazing book called Great by Choice. And it's one of my favorite books ever on business and the principles of business. And I want to just share some excerpts from it, share my learnings from it, and you know talk to you about what is the great thing about this book that I found, right, and how I'm applying it to my life. So, the idea, let me give you a quick background. This is written by Jim Collins, who's the foremost business consultant, or I don't know, coach, teacher, however you want to put it. He's also a scientist over there. So, uh, Jim has been writing and talking about different kinds of businesses, and he's done a lot of research on this, and that's what he's kind of collected in his books, which are Good to Great, Great by Choice, Built to Last, Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0. And these are really, really good books, right? And they're really fun to read, they're really fun to apply, they make a lot of sense, not just in business but also in life in general, right? And that's what makes it so cool and interesting. So I want to share about Great by Choice. Why I personally love this book amongst all of the others is because it is something that you can do yourself, right? It tells you that you don't have to be good or even great when you start. You can start wherever you are and choose to be great at something, right? And that makes it so much more important, right? Because you have the control in your own hand. You can start from scratch, no matter what your background is, no matter what your past is. It does not matter. All that matters is your grit, your perseverance, and your application of the right principles and philosophy. So that's what Jim talks about over here. And he's put down different aspects that he's found from his research, such as thriving in uncertainty, 10xers, 20-mile march, fire bullets then cannonballs, leading above the deadline, smack, and return on luck, right? So these are the different chapters that are there on the book, in the book. And a couple of them really pop out, which is 10xers. So 10xers have this ability, are the people in their industries, usually entrepreneurs, who are essentially, they do whatever they're doing it 10 times better, or they're getting 10 times better results. And so he's talking about different personality traits that they share, which is what make them 10xers, right? And so let me just take you through a couple of the let me take you through a couple of these over here. So this is Amundson's philosophy. Amundson's philosophy: you don't wait until you're in an unexpected storm to discover that you need more strength and endurance. You don't wait until you're shipwrecked to determine if you can eat raw dolphin. You don't wait until you're on the Antarctic journey to become a superb skier or dog handler. You prepare with intensity all the time, so that when the conditions turn against you, you can draw from a deep reservoir of strength. And equally, you prepare so that when the conditions turn in your favor, you can strike hard. And that's what this is about. This is 10x's. This is the philosophy of every 10xer in this book. All the examples that are given, it is essentially to plan beforehand, right? To plan beforehand, to work beforehand, to stack those skills together beforehand, even before you need it, even before you might need it at any point. So he's given this 10x leadership that he's talking about, which brings the 10x results in an organization, is built of four different components that he's mentioned as a triangle like this, right? So the first part is fanatic discipline, right? So having discipline to stay on ground, to decide and to stick to that decision no matter what, right? And making sure that everyone in the organization also follows suit, also follows their lead. So that is what fanatic discipline is about. And not just they don't expect it just from everyone else, but they also push it upon themselves. They are disciplined themselves in order to make everyone else follow along, right? Then productive paranoia is a very simple concept, which is you need to be paranoid. And this reminds me of this book, uh, uh, this book by Intel CEO. I'm forgetting his name. Andy Grove, I think. Yes. So Andy Grove wrote this book called um, "The Only the Paranoid Survive," and that's what reminds me over here, which is productive paranoia is simply that you need to be paranoid about your existence. If you'll make enough revenue, if you'll the technology changes, the platform changes, what's going to happen when the market shifts, what's going to happen in worst case scenarios. So you have to be worried and thinking constantly about the worst case scenarios, but do not get bogged down by it. You do not get bogged down by it. What you do is actually put it into productive use. So you think for about your worst case scenarios, and then you actually put in the work to make sure that you go as far away from it as possible, or you avoid it as much as possible. And that's what productive paranoia looks like. So it's about recognizing the threats and then actually going in the opposite direction of those threats, or mitigating those threats beforehand, even before they actually come by, right? And that's what the beauty of productive paranoia is. Now that reminds me of this really cool story, and the story is of the founder of Twitter. I'm forgetting his name again, but this guy who started this new company called Square, right? And it's a multi-billion dollar company today. But when he started it, he was just the CEO of Twitter, and it was a completely different company that he'll be starting in payments industry and stuff like that. And what he did was very cool. He listed down probably like 38 different reasons for this new company to stop existing. That means it won't grow, or it won't survive in the next couple of years because of these 38 reasons, right? Or if any one of these 38 reasons come true. And yet, people put in the money behind him. And yet, people put in the money behind him, and he actually succeeded in making this company come alive, right? And that's the beautiful part about it, because essentially the moment you recognize that these are the problems that you're going to face, these are the threats that you're going to face, these are the existential crises that you might find yourself in, once you recognize them, you just need to go away from them. You need to figure out ways that you don't go their way, right? And that's what makes it so cool. There's a really cool quote by Charlie Munger as well. All I need to know is where I'm going to die, and I'm never gonna go there. And it's as simple as that, right? So once you know where you're gonna die, you just need to figure out ways to go away from it, or mitigate it, or uh, push it as far in the future as possible. And that's what we're talking about in 10x leadership. So they have the vision, they have the understanding of the industry, they have the crystallization of what their business is and how it could look like in the upcoming years, and how the market could look like. And that's how they lead. They understand, they are paranoid about surviving, they're paranoid about growing, they're paranoid about getting the results. And that's how they push through their team to work away from the problems that they might face, right? And the last one is empirical creativity. Now these are the personal traits that I'm talking about. There's a fourth one, which is called level 5 ambition. I'm going to come to it in a second. But the third one is empirical creativity. Empirical creativity is uh, this idea that creativity does not have to be just about thoughts and ideas and abstract notions and stuff. No. Over here, these 10x leaders, what they're doing is making sure that they have very clarified uh, I mean, they put their creativity in a very clarified way. What that means is they have empirical data, right, behind them in order to make the creative decisions that they need to do, that follows, right? So, for example, in case of me, I mean, in case I want to increase my sales, right? So I need to find out what are the data in my particular industry, and then what's the data of, what kind of sales do people see in my industry. At the same time, what are the kind of sales that I've seen myself, and that's all data that will guide me to creatively see how can I push my limits. Can I push my industry limits? Can I push my own limits? Can I push, can I adopt some new technique from other industry and see how can I grow my sales? So all of that comes along in empirical creativity, right? So empirical creativity is simply this idea that you don't have to go about it alone. You need to figure out the best possible data that is there. You need to study, you need to research, and once you've done all of that, then you make decisions creatively, because now you're able to connect things together. You're not making a decision out of thin air. Rather, you have a really good understanding of the subject that you want to make a decision on, and then you go forward and choose a decision, and that decision usually tends to be true, or if not, then you'll know exactly why that decision did not turn out to be good, right? So that is what empirical creativity is about. And then the fourth trait of a leader, according to Jim Collins, which is what they're calling 10x leadership, is something called level 5 ambition. Now, level 5 ambition is a little tricky to understand, because level 5 as a concept itself is connected to a concept in his previous book, which is called Good to Great, right? So, over here, what they're talking about is this quiet ambition that I need to make this thing which is bigger than me succeed, irrespective of how I'm going to look like, right? So that kind of ambition, and the moment that kind of ambition comes along, people are really attracted towards it, and they really want to move forward towards it, and they follow this person, this leader, to the end of the world, essentially, right? So what they care about, what and these leaders care about, is the organization's growth, is the end result for the customer, the end benefit in the world, the way they are changing the world. It's about creating, or like helping out the world in some way, and in that process, putting yourself down. That means you're not putting yourself in the limelight, you're putting this topic in that limelight, you're putting this problem in that limelight. So you yourself are not so important for actually progressing, but you make sure that your team is progressing towards this end goal, which is the results, right? So that's what level 5 ambition is. That quiet ambition that, hey, I need to make this company work and grow and become profitable and become the best in their industry, right? That ambition, which you don't show, which you don't talk about, which you don't, you're not just hounding onto other people. You are quietly, slowly working towards it, and making sure that everyone else around you is also working towards it. And so you take the personal aspects of it out. That means you're not doing it to get yourself fame, you're not doing it to get yourself rich. You understand that those are the outcomes that might be, but you're not actively seeking to do it yourself, right? And once you do that, once you have that decision in place, once you have that trait in place inside of you, other people start getting attracted towards it, because they can see that facade very quickly, right? The moment you try to fake it, people can see that facade very quickly. So that's what this first chapter, this first idea, this first concept that Jim has kind of put in over here is about, which is 10x leadership, which is made up of these four components, which is fanatic, discipline, productive paranoia, empirical creativity, and then finally level 5 ambition that brings it all together. And that's why this shape, this emblem of triangle that they've created, right? So it's one of the best chapters written in this book. And then the second one is also my favorite, which is 20-mile march, which is essentially building upon this idea of fanatic discipline, right? But it also has more things. So let me just quickly read out another really cool story or this idea. The 20-mile march is more than a philosophy. It is about having concrete, clear, intelligent, and rigorously pursued performance mechanisms that keep you on track. The 20-mile march creates two types of self imposed discomfort. First, the discomfort of unwavering commitment to high performance in difficult conditions. And second, the discomfort of holding back in good conditions. Right? So, this is this idea where you have decided for yourself that you're going to do one thing and one thing consistently, and no matter what you're going to improve on that, but you won't take it too far also, but you won't rest before you achieve it as well. What that means is, for example, let me give you a story. uh, if I want to 20-mile march, my 20-mile march would look like that: hey, every day I have to push out a video, but that video needs to be complete. It can't be superficial, right? So I give myself a timeline, and then I push out a video accordingly. And that's what creates, and I have a constraint that, hey, I can't do two or three, I have to do just one. And that's the upper limit, right? Because sometimes I might feel really good, sometimes I might feel very talkative, sometimes I might feel, okay, hey, today's a good day, I have no distractions and I can do more than one. And I would want to go forward with more than one. And that would be a mistake, because what's going to happen then is I would lose momentum, I would break my own momentum. So I have to keep that discipline to keep my energies in check as well, while at the same time I have to make sure that my commitment, which is every day one video, I'm keeping to that commitment for longer periods, right? So that's what this is about, that you set yourself two benchmarks: one, the upper bound, which is what is the maximum that you'll go to and not more, and what is the bottom mark, which is this is the minimum I'm going to do every day, and I'm not going to back down from this, right? So that's what 20-mile march is. And you make sure that you do it consistently. You do it every day. You do it every month. You do it every quarter. You do it every year, right? So, for example, in Southwest Airlines, I think in their 25, 30-year history, or probably like 40-year history, they made sure this was their 20-mile march, that hey, we are going to show profitability, we are going to be a profitable airline every year. And that's what they created for themselves. So they made sure that they were profitable every year, right? And yeah, 40, I think 35, 38 or 37 times out of 40, they showed a profit out of the 40 years that they are in service now. Probably more, since this is old data in the book, right? So, and they are doing a great job, and they did a great job back then as well. So that was their 20-mile march. And at the same time, they had an upper bound as well, even when the entire US was asking to, ed- they were itching to have Southwest Airlines in their part of the country. They decided to hold it off. They decided ki, hey, we're going to take it slow, we're going to grow as slow as possible, or as much as we needed to only, and not too much. We will not overextend ourselves, because if we overextend ourselves, we will lose momentum, we will lose the hunger inside, we will lose the uh, cultural fit inside, and that would break the company apart. So that's what they did, and they've been going strong ever since as well, right? So that's what 20-mile march is about. It's a great concept. I love it. It shows the importance of consistency and discipline, and sticking to that discipline for a very long period of time. Because when you do that, when you are able to stick to a thing for a very long period of time, it all compounds and it shows up in the results, right? And it builds that muscle. It builds that muscle that when the difficult period comes, you are still going at it, right? When the difficult period comes, you're still going at it, and that's what that builds an internal confidence both for the person as well as for the company overall, right? It builds an internal culture that hey, we do not let this mark down. If I need to make this video every day, then even if I am super tired, if I am not well, I'm still gonna come in front of this camera and show up and make this video to the best of my ability, right? The moment I do that, even on my difficult days, I am becoming stronger myself, I'm improving my skill, I'm gonna do this even when I'm not at my best, right? And in my challenging days. So that's what this is about, right? So even in challenging situations, when you're able to do this march of 20-mile march, you make the company a stronger company overall, right? So that's what 20-mile march was about. Then the next one is called fire bullets then cannonballs. Now this is a very simple idea, and as a teacher of physics, this is again very simple to explain, which is fire bullets and then cannonballs. That means when you are trying out new things, you need to try new things out in smaller quantities. You cannot put all of your money, all of your ammunition, all of your energy, all of your people onto something which is untested. So you need to test all different avenues, try different avenues, see where you're getting good positive results. Once you see that, you probably add more gunpowder to it. That means you add more fuel to it, see what works, and if you're getting good results again. And once you're confirmed, once you have 80% 90% clarity that hey, this is going to work, you put in major resources behind it, and that becomes a cannonball that you shoot in that direction, right? And this is really important to understand because people fail to understand experimentation overall, and that's what this particular topic and chapter is teaching you. And this also it adds up into this whole idea of productive paranoia. If you know that there are possible disruptions possible in your company due to the business model or due to the competition, then you will have to look at new different avenues, see what's working, see where the growth opportunity is, see where you're getting good results. You put in small amounts of money, you check, test, check the results, and then once you have that feedback, you put in more money and more money and more money. And once you're confirmed, you put in a whole lot of money in that direction, right? And that becomes a new chapter, a new journey, a new start in your company, right? A new direction that your company takes. So that's what this is about: fire bullets then cannonball. So once you have this context, this terminology really makes sense, right? To fire some bullets which are smaller, and then you put in a lot of ammunition behind it so that it becomes a cannonball in itself, right? So there are a lot of other things like leading above the deadline and return on luck, which I'm not going to discuss, but they're really good read as well. So you can check out the book. I will put it up in the description below as well, but you can check out the book and see for yourself, read for yourself how cool this is about. But I am going to touch upon, I really want to discuss SMAC, which is again one concept that they've mentioned over here, which is super, super, super cool, right? SMAC stands for specific, methodical, and consistent. The more uncertain, fast changing, and unforgiving your environment, the more SMAC you need to be. All right, so this is the opposite of what the conventional wisdom talks about, and that's why this is such a cool concept. So let me just read this out to you. Let me just quickly read this out to you. All right, so this says that yet when we conducted our research through this very lens of extreme change and turmoil, we found that 10x companies changed their recipes less than their comparisons. This does not mean 10x leaders are complacent, productive paranoids infused with fanatic discipline, and fired up with empirical creativity in pursuit of level 5 ambitions don't have any conception of complacency. 10xers are truly obsessed, driven people. It's just that they accomplish their huge goals by adhering with great discipline to what they know works while simultaneously worrying, for they always worry, about what might no longer work in changing environment. When conditions truly call for a change, they respond by amending the recipe as well. All right. So this is like creating a recipe for your own business, and that's that's like the cool thing that they're doing. So this is the this is the smack recipe for this is the smack recipe for Southwest Airlines. There are a couple of examples that they've taken, and that's because these are the companies that they studied through elimination. They eliminated other companies according to their research criteria. So this is the SMAC recipe that is of Southwest Airlines. What that means is this is the recipe that they've been following for 40 years and they haven't made any changes to it because it works. It is their playbook. It is their thing that works beautifully in their business, right? So first is remain a short haul carrier under 2 hour segments. Second, utilize the 737 as a primary aircraft for 10 to 12 years. Third, continued high aircraft utilization and quick turns, 10 minutes in most cases. Four, passenger is our number one product. Do not carry air freight or mail, only small packages which have high profitability and low handling costs. 5. Continued low fare and high frequency of service. 6. Stay out of food services. 7. No interlining. Costs in ticketing, tariffs, and computers and our unique airports do not lend themselves to interlining. 8. Retain Texas is our number one priority and only go interstate if high density short haul markets are available to us. 9. Keep the family and people feeling in our service and a fun atmosphere aloft. We are proud of our employees. 10. Keep it simple. Continue cash register tickets, 10-minute cancellation of reservations at the gate in order to clear standbys, simplified computer system, free drinks in the executive service, free coffee and donuts in the boarding area, no seat selection on board, tape recorded passenger manifest, bring airplanes and crews home to Dallas each night, only one domicile and maintenance facility. Right? So these 10 steps essentially guides the entire business of Southwest Airlines. And it's so cool that if you figure out a smack recipe for yourself, imagine what beauty, right? And I say beauty because how much would you really understand your business as, right? If you could boil it down to just these 10 steps or 5 steps or whatever, however many steps, but if you have like these list of steps that, hey, if I do this, and if I do it consistently for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I will stay in business, I will be amazing at it, and yeah, people are gonna flock to me, right? And that's what smack is. It's a recipe for your own business. That recipe really guides your entire business. It's a playbook for your business. Why it's important is simply because it really allows you to optimize on places where you know that this is the core business, and everything else apart from these 10 steps, 12 steps is a distraction or an possible investment, right? So you're trying out different bullets in other areas, but this is your main thing, right? This is where you're getting your cash flows in. So that's why you need to write down your own smack recipe. If not, you need to figure out your own smack recipe and go ahead about creating like structures within the company to make sure that this smack recipe gets replicated everywhere and it's following through in all the cases, right? And that's the beauty of this particular chapter. Now that brings me to a close about this particular chapter, and I'll meet you in the next one.